It is time for the Reds to trade for Luis Robert.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Reds podcast. Locked On Reds is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network in all the land, and we thank you so much for your part you played in doing that. We are, as always, your team every day. My name's Stephen Offenbaker. His name's Jeff Carr. We love baseball. We love the Cincinnati Reds. We're lifelong Cincinnati Reds fans. We love talking Reds baseball. We love talking baseball. We love talking about those things with you. In fact, we've been doing it for a combined 14 seasons now. On today's show, Andrew Abbott got some nice recognition, and we have some more players confirmed for Redsfest. We'll discuss that a little bit later on in the show. In a few minutes, we'll tell you why the Reds are trying to undersell their pitching depth. Interesting conversation is going to be happening surrounding that. But where we are going to begin is with one of the Reds trade rumors that seemingly just never goes away. We've got all of that for you on today's episode that is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com to place your NFL live bets all season long. All right, Jeff, it's no surprise. It's no mystery. The trade rumor that never dies. Once again, the Cincinnati Reds have been linked to the Chicago White Sox and one Luis Robert Jr.
And you're probably wondering, yeah, guys, they were linked to him last offseason. They were linked to him last trade deadline. They were linked to him the offseason before that. That's like saying water is wet. Of course the Reds are linked to Luis Robert, but it is a brand new specific tweet that Bob Nightingale had after the White Sox signed Munetaka Murakami for their outfield. They said that the White Sox next move is to trade Luis Robert and that the Mets and Reds are actively negotiating, which to me says, yes, as of right now, the Reds are in talks about this happening. And I think that it's clear. The reason that the Reds are still in this is still talking about this is because the White Sox have become more realistic with their astronomical price that they had for Luis Robert, because why else would the risk-averse Nick Krall still be talking to Chris Getz, president of baseball operations for the Chicago White Sox? And for that reason and that reason alone, I think it's time for the Reds to make this deal.
I have a lot of thoughts on this, Jeff. The first one I want to start with is I think you're probably right. The Reds have leaned into this one. I'm going to go a little bit deeper. I want to hypothesize that I think the Reds and the White Sox are probably pretty close to a deal. They probably have got the principles.
They've been talking long enough.
They've been talking long enough. I think they probably have something in place. I think that the White Sox leaked to this. I think the Mets may have checked in on Robert early, and I think the White Sox leaked this to see if they could drive up the price or get the Mets to swing in with a last-second swoop-in offer for something better than they were going to get from the Reds. Because what is clear is it can't be the same names. It cannot be the same names that have been talked about, linked between the Reds and the White Sox in previous iterations of these rumors and now, because there is absolutely no way you're sending a Rhett Lowder or a Chase Burns or Edwin Arroyo in this deal to bring back Luis Robert. I just don't see it.
No, and that were the last time we actually heard concrete rumors about who the Reds could send. It was Edwin Arroyo and some other top prospects, or both Rhett Lowder and Chase Petty in a deal. It was like, oh my gosh, these seem like crazy prices. Nick Krall should hang up the phone and move on. I think it's come down from there. And I absolutely agree with what you're saying about the Mets, because all we've heard this offseason about who the White Sox have talked about is players from the Mets. We've heard them say, oh, well, the White Sox are talking about Mark Vientos, or the White Sox are talking to the Mets about Luis Angel Acuna, or, guys that they're going to get back for Luis Robert. We have not heard anybody come out and say the White Sox are talking to the Reds about Edwin Arroyo or whoever. So I think that you're right on that. This is posturing. And as we talk about a lot, when it comes to offseason rumors, when you hear, oh, so-and-so is discussing with the Reds a possibility of a new contract, that comes from the agent of the player, because they're trying to drum up the deal for their client from somebody else. And then when you hear so-and-so has asked for these players from the Reds in this trade, that is being leaked by somebody from the other front office to drum up the deal from another team. The fact that the Reds are not the team that have been talked about as which players are available for who makes me think that you're right. They're the ones that are closest. But it's hilarious now. I mean, this is 3 off seasons. It's that gif from Titanic, right? Where it's like, it's been 84 years. It's not been, although it feels like it, but man, we've talked about this rumor a lot.
They're going to announce this trade at Luis Roberts' retirement ceremony is what's going to happen if this keeps dragging on the way that it has. But look, I want to talk about this trade, the nuts and bolts of it for just a second, Jeff. If those aren't the names, what are the names? I think you said one of them, Chase Petty, sounds really reasonable to me. I feel like if there's a dude in the Red system that probably now is blocked and needs to go somewhere else in order to see if he can achieve the success that he was supposed to achieve, it's Chase Petty. So I think you could pair him up with not Edwin Arroyo, not that high talent, but somebody from lower in the farm system that has a little bit of upside, but not somebody that we've been talking about every day. You combine those two dudes, cool. You send them over, you bring back Luis Robert, there's your deal. Are we maybe talking about Brady Singer? Because you have to make the money work. I know that it's terrible that we have to consider that in these type of deals, but you have to make money work. So Brady Singer's contract going away helps them be able to afford Luis Robert Jr. And I would tentatively be okay if Brady Singer's the trade piece with some low-level prospect in order to facilitate this deal. But here's the problem that I have with this deal, Jeff, and you're going to love this, because it feels to me like Santiago Espinal all over again. The Reds are desperate for an outfielder, and with him, the Reds were desperate for an infielder. So they've gone out and found a guy that was an all-star a couple years back. Santiago Espinal was an all-star a couple years back. Luis Robert was an all-star a couple years back. And then you look at what they've done. They've done nothing for me lately. But they were an all-star once upon a time, and Nick Krall is like, I'm going to go out and get them because they're going to come to Great American Ballpark, and they're going to be that guy again. We saw how that worked out with Santiago Espinal, and I hope that that's not what they're looking at here, because if you look at Luis Robert Jr.'s stats, Jeff, he was an all-star in 2023 with a 5.3 WAR and 145 games played. Man, he was good. Slash line, 264, 315, 542, 38 home runs. Since then, 2024, OPS plus 88. 2025, OPS plus 85. Combined number of home runs, 28 in those 2 seasons. I think he's much more that guy than he is the guy from 2023. And it just makes me nervous that Nick Krall saw, he got some MVP votes in 2023. Let's get him.
Right. So that's a sobering thought. And to follow that up, I would ask you this, because I am convinced that the reason that the Reds are still in this negotiation is because the price has come down. How much of a percentage probability do you put on the reason that the Reds are still in this, not on the fact that the price has come down, but on the fact that Nick Krall now feels the pressure to go get somebody for the lineup, and he's just trying to force a square peg into a round hole here?
I think it's probably equal parts, all those things. I think, if you took, 33% of this is pressure that he's feeling, 33% of this is actual team need, right? And 33% of this is, the price is coming down because the White Sox were on some kind of psychedelic medication that made them think they were going to get what they were going to get when they were making those asks last season. So I think you take all of those pieces and you arrive at this space where Nick Krall is probably now seriously talking to the White Sox. But for me, it's like, are you doing something just to do it? And I mean, Robert's fine in the outfield defensively. I got no gripes of his playing defensively, but is he an upgrade? Is he, Jeff? Is he an upgrade in the lineup? I mean,
yes,
maybe.
So when you look at this, what you would do is you would put him in center field, you put TJ Friedl in left field, but you would take TJ Friedel's stats and keep them in the lineup, obviously. So then you're talking about replacing or upgrading the production from what the Reds got out of their left fielder. Last year, Steve, at the position of left field, the Reds got an OPS of a grand total of 684, 375 slugging from anybody that played left field, 310 on base. The career numbers, you're going to say, okay, last 2 years, Luis Robert hasn't done that well.
It's exactly
career numbers for Luis Robert, 455 slugging, 313 on base. So even though the on base isn't that great, it is still an upgrade on what the Reds saw from their left fielder last year. So I think that even if you just get the career numbers and you don't get the 2023 numbers, you're seeing a much bigger upgrade in the outfield. And for that, I think what they do here is they get the White Sox to pay down some of that salary in order to pay up for a better prospect. So they get Chase Petty. And then they add on a guy here that I had a conversation with our Locked On White Sox guy about, in that he was like, we are a team that is not looking to compete for anything next year. We're trying to take steps as a rebuild. We have at bats to give to guys who have struggled. Christian Encarnacion-Strand joins Chase Petty and heads on over to Chicago, and the Reds get Luis Robert. That's my idea.
My head says cool.
And they pay down some of that.
Right.
So
my head
the
says
Reds
cool.
don't have to pay $20 million.
My head says cool because CES has done nothing for us, and all the reasons, save the money, get the guy, do the things. Cool. My heart is like, we spent so much time hyping up CES and him being a guy that was going to hit 130 home runs a season at Great American Ballpark that hurts me. That hurts me in my heart a little bit, Jeff. But
the Reds need more head moves.
But you're
they
right.
need less heart moves, more head moves.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And so from that standpoint, cool, get it done. I just really want the Luis Robert talk to be done. So make the trade, don't make the trade, but let's just get it done.
And the headline, it's clear for this trade or for any other trade, it's about the pitching. But we keep hearing a bunch of stuff that I just don't buy when it comes to Reds pitching. They have the kind of depth that other organizations wish they had. For all of your live betting action, you got to check out FanDuel. FanDuel's got all the best live lines when it comes to the NFL games as the NFL hits the stretch run and the Bengals continue their quest to not pick Caleb Downs as they try to get a worse draft pick and win the rest of their games. Really, that's all that matters anymore is where their draft pick's going to be, and yet now they decide to win. In fact, FanDuel has the Bengals as a 7-point favorite over the Arizona Cardinals this Sunday. Yay? Question mark? Live bet that stuff all over on FanDuel, and you can follow Bearcats basketball games over there as well. It's all on FanDuel. Live betting action is so much fun, even in NBA games and things like that. You turn on a game or a bowl game, those are even better. Turn that on, check out FanDuel's live lines, and you have so much more fun. Download FanDuel today. Thank you for making Locked On Reds your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Look, you already live your team every day. Now, take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Reds with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and so much more. All for just $5 a month or $50 a year. You pay for the whole year, you get 2 months for free. Go to lockedonreds.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. All right, Steve, as we talk about trades, and Luis Robert is really the only trade rumor that is out there right now. It's amazing that that persists, but that's the only thing that feels close. But in any trade, you trade from your strength to satisfy a weakness elsewhere on the roster. And what we have been hearing, and I read something from our friend Charlie Goldsmith. He was talking about, how it's a misconception that the Reds have a deep pitching staff with which to trade from, and that their pitching staff isn't really deep at all. I don't think Charlie does a lot of speculation here. He is reporting what he hears from the team. In fact, there was a direct quote from Nick Krall talking about if you trade one pitcher, you got to go sign another one, and those guys aren't easy to sign off the free agent market. Steve, what are we talking about? We got so much pitching depth in this organization. The Reds need to use it.
Yeah, Nick Krall, I don't know what he was doing there. I feel like he was publicly helping a negotiation standpoint that he's got going on. Maybe now that we've heard this White Sox stuff, it might be right there, because I think that's what he was doing. Because if you look at just a quick and dirty rundown of the guys that can start games for the Cincinnati Reds in 2026, you've got the big ones, Hunter Greene, Nick Lodolo, Andrew Abbott, the big guns. They're not going to be traded in a deal with the Chicago White Sox. No way, no how. Those guys off limits. You've got Brady Singer, Rhett Lowder, Chase Burns, Chase Petty. Of that group, you could trade Brady Singer to satisfy some team's requirement of, well, we need a major leaguer. And you could trade Chase Petty, who I said earlier, I think could benefit from going someplace else at this point in his career. You got those dudes. And then you've got the guys coming back from injury that were starting pitchers. You've got Brandon Williamson, you've got Julian Aguilar, and then you've got a guy also available to you in Jose Franco, who did not pitch at the big league level, but Cincinnati Reds minor league pitcher of the year. So they have some talent there. So you look at that, you're like, well, if I trade Brady Singer, I have to go get another starter. No, you don't, because you backfill with either probably Rhett Lowder, because he's the odd man out right now. Then you've still got Chase Petty sitting around. You still got Brandon Williamson coming back. You still got Julian Aguilar coming back, and you still got Jose Franco. That's 5 more guys. That's a whole another rotation worth of dudes sitting down at AAA Louisville to fill from. So no, Nick, I get what you're doing, Nick, but no, you don't have to go sign another starter if you trade Brady Singer.
That's where I want to go with that too. Like, I agree with you on the, maybe he is trying to, do the opposite. Like we said, like, teams will leak different players that could be involved in a deal to try and drum up the price from another team. Maybe this is Nick Krall's like counter
move.
Leak.
Yeah, counter move.
The counter move, where he's just like, oh, but we don't really have much to offer you. Like, what do you want? Like, we're offering you the best that we can. Because I really hope that's what he's doing. Because if he is sincere about the fact that if you trade a starter, you got to go sign one, or else the Reds are down to 4 starters. Like, I just don't understand what he is evaluating at this point, because it really feels like the Reds have become the pitching factory that they said they wanted to be, like 4 or 5 years ago, or something like that. I feel like we're getting into that space, but they're not a pitching desert. That seems to be how they're trying to sell themselves, though. And that's the thing. Like you mentioned, like, these are the list of guys who could start a game for the Reds. Technically, anybody could start a game for the Reds next year, but these are the list of guys that we feel really good about starting a game next year. That's 10 guys. And okay, let's say, all right, Jose Franco hasn't debuted. How can we say we feel really good about him? Fine, whatever. 9 guys that the Reds could choose from. You can trade one of those, and then you have 8 guys. I just did some math on the fly there. Think I'm right. I just don't understand why we do this, where we get to a point in the offseason, we say we don't have enough money to sign anybody, and we don't have anybody to trade, and we're not going to get any better. I really hope he is just trying to sell everybody down the river and then surprise us with this awesome move somewhere along the way. Because if we get to spring training and they haven't done anything, this is a failure of an offseason.
Oh, 100%. I was kicking around on Twitter X. Someone asked or made a comment of, I can't wait to see the Locked On Reds show that grades the offseason. And I'm like, well, buddy, let me give you a preview.
The good news is we
went right into it.
Right, we still got some time, but yeah, no.
Like I said, if I'm grading it right now, buddy, Nick Krall is failing. So like something needs to break here, Jeff. And like I said, I understand why probably Nick Krall is saying what he's saying and why this narrative is trying to be turned in a certain direction. But can I tell you that I'm just tired of hearing from the Reds front office how bad they are and how poor they are and how unready they are and what all the problems are? Could we have some positivity, for God's sakes, from this front office? Could you come out and talk about something good and not something that's limited or something that's conditional or something that's challenging? Like, can we just get some positive news about somebody?
Or even like neutrality. Like, it just feels like we hear pessimism, period, from the front office. And so that's why when other fan bases and other people check in on Reds country during the offseason, they're like, golly, what is stuck in y'all's shoe? It's like that. They've been feeding us that ever since the season ended. And this is all we hear is about how we're not going to get any better because we can't. And it's like, guys, what are we doing?
It's almost like they're priming the entire fan base for this deal they're going to announce with like some some antidepressant company, and that's going to be the opening day giveaway. Like, everybody gets a free sample today. We're gonna create some positive vibes around here. I just like,
and to add to that fun, I did see as well that the parent company for FanDuel Sports didn't make its payment, and so there could be some interestingness with the Guardians and the Reds TV broadcasters next year. Like,
let's go.
It's so much fun around here. Look, it's going to be, and I still believe, and maybe this is just the little bit of optimism that hasn't been killed in me over the last couple of years, that is crying out from the depths, that is just like, no, but you don't understand. He's gonna do something. He's gonna make a move. They've gotta get better. I'm going insane, I think is what it is.
Well, that could be the case. Look, they have the pitching depth. They should use it. Get something done. Let's just get something done. Nick, get something done. But let's move on to a happier topic, because the list of appearances at Redsfest, Jeff, oh boy, it's growing. There's more people added. You and I made fun of this list when they first released it. It's getting a little bit better. They're adding more and more people to it. And also Andrew Abbott received a little recognition. We're talking about that next. In the midst of basketball season, there is nothing like being in the building. The crowd, the energy, the moments you can't watch just from your couch. The only problem? Well, getting the tickets. It's always a hassle. You have to wait in the queues. You don't know what you're going to pay. Well, Gametime fixed all of that. Get on the Gametime app today. I love this app. Jeff and I use it all the time, not only for baseball. I've used it for football. I've used it for special events. I've used it for concerts. I've used it for just about every event I wanted to go to. They give you amazing deals. If you want to get in on some NBA action, Gametime is for you. College basketball, Gametime is for you. March Madness is coming. Get ready. Figure out the Gametime app, because it'll get you some deals on those March Madness games. Just download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Now, again, terms do apply, but download that Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Gametime app. If you can't watch us here on YouTube, guess what? We're on every single audio podcasting platform, pretty much, that is in existence. If you find one we're not on, let Jeff know. He can get us there for you. We want to go on the road with you. Take us in the car, take us to the gym, take us away from your computer when you're trying to get out in the sunshiny world. You can still listen to all the great Locked On Reds content. Just subscribe on the audio side today. Also, that's where the Everydayers Club is, folks. If you would like ad-free Locked On Reds, well, join the Everydayers Club. $5 a month to get you ad-free content, plus the exclusive Discord server that gets you not only access to us, but access to all of the Locked On hosts across the network. So it's a big deal. Go check it out today. All right, buddy. Redsfest roster update. All right. It's gotten a little bit better.
It has. More people have been added. Definitely the ones that everybody is looking for. I know that Matt McLain is back on the list now. Obviously, Emilio Pagan, he signed his deal. I'm sure they're like, and you're staying in Cincinnati. I just want to say Emilio to him and see how he reacts. And I'm guessing nobody does that, right? Nobody probably does that.
You'll be the first guy, guaranteed.
I'll be the
first.
first.
You should do it. And you should do it from like at the back of the line, and then midway through the line, and then right like Emilio, like right there in his face.
I did not know you could get that close to your camera. And Chase Burns is going to be there. Will Benson's going to be there, but on Friday only. There were a couple of people that they can only be there on certain days. Most of them are alumni, but Will Benson's the only active guy that can only be there on one day. I think we mentioned that Hector Rodriguez is going to be there. Tyler Stephenson, Sal Stewart will be there. I do find it interesting because I am also told there's a season ticket member only event. It is a Q&A. It has Terry Francona, Sal Stewart, and Ellie De La Cruz at this Q&A. Now, unless he zooms in, I did think about this being a possibility, but unless he zooms in to this Q&A thing that they have, that means that Ellie De La Cruz is going to be there. So if you look at the current roster that is on Reds.com, Ellie De La Cruz is not listed on the active roster participants in Redsfest as of right now, but we've been told he's going to be at this Q&A. So he's either going to be zooming in or some virtual participant in this, or he's going to be there and they just haven't confirmed his travel arrangements.
You kept saying zooming in, and I just had this mental image of him like running in from one side.
I
of the
mean, he
stage,
could
sitting-
do that too.
running in
he's
from one
fast.
side, sitting down, and just like, I'm very, very happy to be here. We're going to be very, very good next year. I'm looking forward to get going, and I'm so excited for Reds baseball in 2026. And then he gets up and runs off the other side of the stage.
Well, if he did that, he'd be the second guy to do. That's the Billy Hamilton thing, is to how to do that. But he could zoom in because he runs fast. Zoom in.
Took me a minute to realize you were talking about using Zoom to participate in the show.
Yeah. But no, I think that he's gonna be. He's not gonna be there just for the Q&A. I think he's gonna be there all weekend too.
And so this is a much better list. Look, you and I both love Redsfest. We've made no secret of that. We love it. We love the interaction we get with all the everydayers. We love getting to see and talk to the players. We love all of the team stuff and the opportunity for stuff that you can get at a better deal. And, we also love the dagger eyes from the Reds front office when they see us. So, it makes our day. It makes us happy as we're cruising around the convention center. It's the first event in the newly remodeled convention center. I'm excited to see that. So I'm excited to be there. I'm looking forward to this. And I feel a whole lot better about it now with this updated list than I did when the list first came out. Because honestly, when the list first came out, I was like, well, for me, it's now about getting to see the convention center in its first event. But now I'm back to being excited about Redsfest.
You can now put the building down lower on the list of things.
I can drop the building down.
Which will have a new name, as most people probably have heard about, but it will no longer be the Duke Energy Convention Center. It's just going to be the Cincinnati Convention Center. I did see they have the new sign, the exterior sign that says Cincinnati completed. It's not lit up or anything, but I saw that it's completed on the exterior of it. If you drive by downtown, you'll be able to see that. But the building looks nice, and I'm excited to see the inside as well. It's going to be a hugely fun event. This is where I usually get most of my memorabilia, new hats or new jerseys, new shirts, whatever. You usually find a nice discount on them. I wonder if having not been around for a little over a year, if that's going to be the case, but I really hope so. And then, of course, we've got to find ourselves some game used jerseys from Zach Maxwell and
grab bag, baby. Grab bags.
Yeah.
Listen, folks, if you don't know, the grab bags are sorted by size.
Yep.
They're sorted by size. So that makes me happy because there's going to be a lot more grab bags on the fluffier end of the spectrum.
Which and depending on which grab bags you get, sometimes you can end up with autographed jerseys from guys that were in key games, like the one that I got of Jeff Hoffman from our friend Obscure X Reds on Twitter. Still have that one, by the way. It's just hanging up in the closet.
Watch out. His dad's going to message you again. You better watch what you say.
I got to fast for a couple of days before I put that on and it fits, but it's all right. You can definitely get a lot of good stuff.
Tell us what did Andrew Abbott win? I want to know what Andrew Abbott won.
He didn't really win. It was more of a writers thing. It was something from MLB.com. MLB.com did an article on Sunday talking about the all award lists team. So the best player at each position who did not get any hardware after the season ended. And according to MLB.com, Andrew Abbott was listed as the best starting pitcher on the all award list team. So no hardware whatsoever. And they're of all the pitchers who didn't get any hardware, Andrew Abbott was the best starting pitcher. So we got a little bit of recognition. That was nice.
That clearly
had a hell of a year.
For those that have forgotten, 29 games, all of them start. So in 29 starts, 166 and a third innings, Jeff, 2.87 ERA on the season. Yeah, you heard me right. 2.87 ERA, sub 3, a strikeout per 9 of 8.1. Okay, cool. And then a walks per 9 of 2.3, which is right where you want him to be. He was an all-star. Yes. He finished 8th in the Cy Young voting. He struck out 149 guys while only walking 43.
Gotta love it. He deserved, because he got a few votes in the Cy Young. I think there were 5th or 6th place votes or something like that. But he definitely deserves some recognition. It's tough though, because his profile is not one that I think would ever actually win a Cy Young, just because he's more of a, inducing soft contact than he is inducing swings and misses, but he's a good pitcher. And I think there's, this is along the lines of the just darn good pitcher award, right?
Yeah. Well,
but he's
Think
really
about how excited we were to get Brady Singer in this rotation from a stabilization standpoint, right? We didn't talk about that Brady Singer was going to come in here and be sub-3 and do crazy things. We talked about Brady Singer was going to come in here and start every game he was asked to start, give you a bunch of innings, and do fairly well in those innings. That's what Brady Singer came in and did. Andrew Abbott, ERA is nearly half of what Brady Singer's is. Brady Singer only started 3 more games than Andrew Abbott, and he only threw, wait for it, he only threw 3 more innings than Andrew Abbott. Andrew Abbott is the stabilizer, and he's really good. He's probably one of the best number 3 pitchers in baseball.
He starts one more game. He has the most innings on the team. I think that we'll see him go all throughout the season next year. It's really hard to predict injuries and things like that, but he feels like an easy pick to be the next Reds pitcher to throw 30 starts just because he was only 1 away. And it feels like he doesn't have any sort of questionable like injury history that will crop back up on him like other guys in this rotation. But at the same time, like I think we're headed for a year, whether it be 2026 or 2027, where we see Hunter Greene, Nick Lodolo, and Andrew Abbott make 30 starts. And oh my God, when that happens, that's a hard team to beat. And that is why we're so bullish on just get one guy for this lineup, because the pitching, man, that pitching is awesome.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. See, I'm ready for baseball. I was texting our group chat the other day. Like, I miss baseball. I was just flooding our group chat with Tim Daniel, just all with highlights the other day, just because I'm like missing baseball. Now I'm really missing baseball. Can't wait for Redsfest. Folks, that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Reds. Hey, happy holidays. We're going to be in your feed a couple more times this week before the holiday. I think we're shows on Tuesday, shows on Wednesday, and then we'll leave you alone over Christmas unless Nick Krall gives us a present. Fingers crossed. Until then, that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Reds. Thanks, as always, for making us your first listen day. Yeah, let's do it. We'll make Locked On MLB your second listen in the audio feeds. For those on the video feed, we're going to send you over to Locked On's first ever 24/7 all streaming sports network channel here on YouTube. We're going to keep you locked on Reds every single day.
What was that? Did we just become a rave? What was that?
Something happened. A party broke out, buddy.